I'm gonna start na.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome to Sub-Auteurs. I tried.
We all saw
I tried.
that. We saw
I'm
how
sorry.
you tried.
Welcome to Sub-Auteurs episode number 2. Any guesses as to why Anjo was so painfully slow with that intro?
I don't think even Anja knows why he was that slow.
Is it the internet's fault? Could be the internet's fault, as it usually is.
Could be my connection. I don't know.
No, but today we are talking about Zack Snyder. Yep. And
Master of super slow motion.
Exactly. Hence our intro. So this all comes up because we heard that HBO Max will be releasing the Snyder Cut of Justice League in 2021. People are a little bit excited, I think, more or less. So just a little background. Justice League was originally shot by Zack Snyder, but was finished by Joss Whedon.
Right.
Which in turn result into a mediocre to bad movie.
Oh, really? You, the one who loves Justice League? Why are you saying this now?
Because objectively, it really is a mediocre to bad movie. I just liked it for the superheroes.
No. The only reason you're saying that now is because your Lord and Master's cut is coming out next year. That's why you're saying it now. Otherwise, you would still be worshipping the 2017 cut.
Oh, God.
I never worshipped the 2017 cut.
I don't know about you guys, but it was the movie. I actually saw it late. I didn't see it in the cinemas. I saw it on Netflix. It was the movie I saw right after Cats. So I don't know what you're talking about because it was brilliant. Right after Cats, it was a masterpiece.
Good Lord.
Just kidding. No, I hated it. I still hated it. This is why 2020 is so shitty. I started it off with 2 really bad movies.
What was the first? Cats was the other one.
Cats was the first one.
Cats was the
Justice
first
League.
one.
Oh, Cat. What was the second bad movie?
Justice
League. Wow.
Wait.
You.
Shit.
Okay, you are slow.
Yeah, I got caught up in the Snyder spectrum. I don't know.
Somewhere in those 300 frames per second.
Okay, here's the thing. Back in the day, Zack Snyder kicked off what we now know as the DC Extended Universe, right? With Man of Steel, featuring Henry Cavill as Superman. Then he followed that up with Batman versus Superman, with Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and Henry Cavill was back as Superman. Everybody fought at 300 frames per second. And then they all came together for Justice League. Zack Snyder was famously unable to complete the film because he had to step away officially on the grounds that his daughter had actually committed suicide. So Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon, who had already directed The Avengers, and they brought him in to fix it, to finish the film. That's always been Warner Brothers' story, that there was no working cut of Justice League, that there was nothing to see from Zack Snyder that could possibly be shown. And the only version that existed was what Joss Whedon ultimately put out. But now they've changed their story. Now they're saying that they're assembling it from what Zack Snyder already shot, and they're spending a lot of money to do the post-production to make sure it looks its best. What can you guys say about that?
How much was the budget? How much was the budget again for this?
For the post-prod?
Just for the post?
They said it's up northward of $30 million. They're not saying how much. They just said it's more than $30 million.
Ooh, jeez.
Man, we could make 30 movies for that kind of money. No, actually, we can make more.
That could have been put into just making the movie better, right? So,
That's true.
I don't know.
Okay, just...
to begin with, it wasn't really that much of a Joss Whedon movie, because he was basically assembling something with already shot
because he
material.
assembled the Avengers.
Yes.
Okay,
How ironic.
continue.
Except
No, but,
that movie wasn't
I guess
garbage.
just that's true. Age of Ultron
Yeah, that was kind of garbage.
wasn't as good as the first. That
No.
was kind of garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of garbage. But
It was boring except for the fight scenes. But yeah, anyway, going
Okay,
back.
yeah,
I think
go ahead.
it's hard to call it a Joss Whedon movie considering that he basically stitched up already finished work with a few reshoots.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know, but you could still see a lot of Zack Snyder in that movie,
Oh
to be
yeah,
honest.
Yeah.
that's
Like
why
a lot of Zack Snyder.
That's why it felt like two different movies at the same time because you had the humor of Joss Whedon in it, but it was
Right.
still so dark. So I
Right.
think visually they were trying to match whatever Zack Snyder already shot, but then a lot of the script was still pretty funny. So it's like it didn't mesh very well. I feel that's how
But
I
yeah,
felt.
it didn't translate properly.
A lot of the rumors said that Joss had actually been specifically chosen to be the light that Zack Snyder was purposely trying to avoid. I mean, they said that Joss was brought in to brighten up the film, to add in the jokes that made the Avengers a hit. But what Warner
It
Brothers,
was
I
too
think,
much.
yeah, I can't get over the part where Batfleck says something's bleeding after Superman asks him if he bleeds. I'm like, he doesn't talk like that. Batman does not, throw one-liners. It took me all the
He
way
doesn't
back.
acknowledge pain either. Batman.
It took me all the way back to Val Kilmer telling Alfred that he'll get drive-through.
Oh my God.
It doesn't make sense in this context. Now, a lot of the criticism for the DCEU, as it's now called, was that it was just too dark and brooding. And Zack Snyder defended his creative decisions through Man of Steel, through Batman vs. Superman, by saying that the bright, happy superheroes of yesteryear, those are old-fashioned. Nobody wants to see those things anymore. That's why everything has to be dark. Everything has to be excessively dour. Everything has to be violent and just depressing. Because nobody wants to see smiling heroes.
That is not true.
Which is
on
in
my
stark contrast to what Superman is supposed to be.
Don't let Henry Cavill hear you.
end. Henry Cavill, such a beautiful man.
No, because Superman could be so
I'll give you
could
that.
be such
He
a
is.
complex. Maybe if they started with a Batman movie, it would have worked that way. If the treatment was going to be that way,
But I think
not introduce the entire universe with Superman movie with this treatment.
Did they take cues from the Dark Knight trilogy? Just wondering.
No,
Wait,
No.
actually, that's a valid point because Chris Nolan was like a producer, wasn't he?
yes, the rumors back then were that they were going to start their own shared universe
With Christian Bale?
with Chris Nolan's. Yeah, there were rumors about a shared universe because when Man of Steel came out, that were the rumors, and then Nolan eventually announced that he wasn't interested in doing a shared universe continuity with Warner Brothers, but he did handpick Zack Snyder to take care of that. 'Cause
Right.
Initially, I think the rumor was Warner Brothers wanted Nolan to handle that. He just wasn't interested in it.
Right.
Can you
Because
imagine?
knowing Christopher Nolan's material, everything is rooted on reality.
Absolutely.
Right.
So even that guy, he couldn't justify a guy who can fly by himself. So,
Yeah.
but I think
Yep.
he served as a producer, or his brother served as a producer on those movies.
I think in Man of Steel, he served as a producer. I think, if I remember correctly, but I have to power through that movie again.
Right.
Because I
Power
yeah.
through.
Yeah,
You
I
can just
tend
look
to
through the
sleep.
credits, dude.
Oh, God. Or just IMDb that thing.
Where's nga naman? Where's the fun in that though? Like,
Sit
actually,
through
where's
it.
the fun in watching Man of Steel?
No, I mean, but think about it. Okay, if Superman is dark and depressing and brooding and angsty, what the heck makes him different from Batman? And if they're both the same character, essentially, what do they got to fight about? I mean, you don't have that contrast anymore of light against dark, of
Yeah.
it's just, they're just two angry people.
That would have been so nice, right? The contrast and everything.
No, but that has always been the contrast, or the most interesting thing about the relationship between those two guys is a stark contrast between both characters. but they still establish a really, really good relationship. They even, at some point, I think they consider themselves each other their best friends.
They do,
right?
to the point that some people write them like a married couple.
Oh, yeah, that's so cute.
But really, some people actually write their dialogue like they're a married couple because they're complete opposites, but they complement each other. And you're absolutely right, MJ. We didn't see any of that.
Unfortunately. But we did see them reconcile over their mother's names. Something that could save the world, having each other's mother's names be the same.
Which, may I point out, also happened in Civil War, is because it was all about a mother or
yeah, but that was like the death of his mother. I mean, you'd be pissed too if you found out that, your best friend was trying to defend your parents' killer. In this case, Martha, that was just, I can't even say it without laughing.
Martha.
Like, seriously.
Martha.
Like, you want to set off my girlfriend? That's all you got to do. Just mention that scene. And I think it makes you incrementally stupider every time you watch that scene.
I think it triggers anyone or everyone who has a sense of, narrative.
For me, it hurt me.
Who has a sense of...
It hurt me. I mean, as a Superman fan from birth or a DC fan completely all the way through. And I'm seeing that, I mean, the Marvel movies started off with an absolute B-lister Iron Man, okay? Nobody outside of a comic book store even knew who Iron Man was. And then they got this borderline B-list actor whose heyday was in the 80s, who was just fresh out of rehab. He was fresh out of rehab for like the third time.
He had Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
He had Ally
Why
McBeal.
did he have to stop Ally McBeal? Because he went back to rehab. He went back to jail.
Oh, God.
That's why they had to replace him with Sting. But seriously.
This is very telling of your age.
But anyway, going back to Zack Snyder.
But the thing is, they took an absolute walang kwentang character to anyone who wasn't already reading comic books, and they made him the world's greatest superhero. And I love Superman, but Snyder did not give me the world's greatest superhero.
Even at the Man of Steel, actually, he broke one cardinal rule that Superman does not do. So you could hear the cinemas literally at that moment. I don't know if I don't want to spoil it, but when that moment, quote unquote, happened, everybody was like, what?
What?
It's like,
yeah.
What?
I was like, did he just... No.
That guy is supposed to inspire every hero on the planet?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't know what's been happening with Zack Snyder, because back, his earlier work was actually not that bad.
Oh my God, 300 was amazing.
Oh man, I think I saw 300 like 4 times in the theater. That was great.
He probably peaked 300 at 300.
Yeah, he did peak at 300, and it kind of went downhill from there. Well, not really. Afterwards, it was Watchmen, which was also still pretty good. And then
You'll be surprised.
What?
But, Watchmen apparently is very polarizing. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Depending on who you talk to.
I love it. Talk to
me. But people still loved it. At least people still loved it. I did. I loved it too. And then,
even if they changed the ending a tiny bit, I loved it.
But the ending seemed to be more relevant for the movie.
I agree. I agree completely.
It seemed to make more sense. And some people have issues with that.
Well... are we going to spoil a 35-year-old graphic novel? I think we can, right?
I think. Okay. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
How to...
There.
Okay.
No,
for anyone listening, there are going to be spoilers.
It's a 35-year-old book. Come on.
The movie is almost a decade old?
Yeah, I think so.
We have given them enough warning.
Yeah. Okay. So, the ending of the original Watchmen has Ozymandias call down a giant genetically engineered space squid in the middle of Times Square that gives everybody in the surrounding area a psychic headache. And it kills everybody in the immediate vicinity. And this incident was created to make all of the world think that they had been attacked by aliens, because Ozymandias' plan was to instigate world peace by making people unite against something bigger than themselves.
A common threat.
Exactly. What the movie did differently was because Zack Snyder said audiences are not going to believe a giant space squid in the middle of Times Square. What he did was he framed Dr. Manhattan. Is that what he did? He framed Dr. Manhattan for freaking out with his powers or something. He made it look like Dr. Manhattan had gone nuts and unleashed a psychic attack on everyone. So everybody would unite against the bigger threat while also getting rid of their overdependence on superheroes. But humanity would have a chance. Humanity would have a chance to stand on their own 2 feet and move forward, which I think liked because it fits with the theme of the entire piece.
Yeah, and you could really see how they would adjust to like how the audience would take it, as opposed to like a giant squid. Now that you mentioned, I did not know this tidbit before. I've never read The Watchmen, but now it's like, they made a good decision on that.
The whole theme of it. I mean, when Alan Moore wrote the graphic novel as a deconstruction of superheroes, he was writing superheroes as essentially as fascists. That's why it's not an easy read. It's not a celebration of heroes in any way. It's just showing how messed up these people would be if they actually existed. And that's why we shouldn't look up to them.
It was a more grounded take on what superheroes are like or were like in that universe, and what they would be doing should they choose to abuse their power or their skill set.
And also what kind of losers or mentally unstable people they would have to be. Just to carry out that kind of a career. Because who dresses up, like a flying mammal of the night to fight criminals in his high-tech vehicles? Come on. But I enjoyed the film because MJ, other than the Space Squid ending, the rest of the film is pretty much word for word, page for page, what you see in the graphic novel, just with 800 times more slow motion.
And I think that's what he did with 300 too. I've seen the graphic novel of 300 and he pretty much did it almost frame per frame, which was beautifully executed with just the right amount of slow motion and everything. But like,
that was
he
great.
kind of got carried away with the slow motion from there on. It's like, really.
So stating these two things that you think that, not exactly verbatim or word for word, but taking one frame from a comic book or a page from a book to film and translating it into film is Zack Snyder's strong point.
Well,
because 300 and Watchmen were pretty good movies. Which brings me to another movie which he made for his kids, which was his first animated movie, which was called Legend of the Guardians.
Right. The one with the owls.
Yes, that was nice. Yeah, that was really nice.
Not a lot of people know that was a book adaptation.
Oh,
I did not know that.
See, I didn't know. I did not know either.
Is there more than one book?
I'm not sure because I've never read it.
Misha's gonna go read it now. He's like, where is it? I'm gonna look for it.
Yes, I should. I should do that.
But I think when he gets his source materials right, or he has a story that his patterning after, his films after, I think he does a pretty good job of doing that.
Holy crap. I think you're onto something here. Yeah.
That makes me realize, like, how good is he on his own, right? Because, like, he's been doing these films, like, really well. And the good ones are apparently, like, really very, very faithful visually to the comic book. So it's I see something.
Wait a minute.
Which would bring me to the point of saying that Justice League, according to the rumors, that Zack Snyder's story for Justice League, what Zack Snyder's story for Justice League is the very common story of Darkseid, who is the big bad villain. He's like the Thanos equivalent of DC. He's supposed to invade Earth.
Everybody knows who Thanos is now. 10 years ago, nobody outside a comic book store knew who Thanos was. But because they took the time to build him up, everybody had a chance to be on the same page 22 movies later when they finally beat Thanos' ass. Can you imagine if the DC universe had been built with that kind of care rather than after 2 movies, okay, let's do Justice League? I'm like, we didn't even know who these people were. Why should we care if they team up?
Generally speaking, you knew who everyone was.
You knew them by name,
except for Cyborg.
But you knew them by name. I mean, but you had no attachment to these people. Like,
Although I feel like they they were trying to catch up with Marvel because by that time Marvel was already doing so well. They had the Avengers and all the films prior to that, and they were building on to like all these individual movies of these people you've seen in Avengers. So they were kind of behind with this.
And
So it's like
they were super behind.
Yeah, so they really had to like step it up. They were like, okay, let's bring out the big guns as early as now. Let's put the Justice League together, even if nobody knows who Cyborg is, or we don't know much background on the Flash, etc.
But
Aquaman. So
that's what breaks my heart, because like for years and years, decades upon decades, these superheroes, the DC superheroes, were owned by DC Comics is owned by Warner Brothers. At one point, the largest movie studio in the world. They could have gotten their act together anytime that they wanted. They didn't have to wait for DC to buy a nearly bankrupt publisher turned film production house. Alam mo yun? Parang, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then now you're gonna rush it based on nothing but the name value of your heroes and do nothing that makes it look like the heroes? Or, you know.
I think they deserve more respect than that.
I hug you. No, but they're there. It's okay. Don't cry.
So,
you sound so fired up about this.
So
what does this mean? Does Zack Snyder put out his best work if there's actual source material done and not made by him?
Honestly, I think you're right. What was the first movie that made him famous? It was a remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
Oh!
Right? It was a remake of Dawn of the Dead. And that's how he got the 300 job and so on and so forth. And
in case you guys were wondering where the slow motion scene was in that movie, there was just one. And it wasn't that super slow motion.
Yeah.
Pero meron pa rin.
That is unheard of. Just one?
That was one of the first times.
Who is this person?
That was one of the first movies that had running zombies. That's right. So they were not in slow motion.
For that time, it was for that time, that movie was beyond its time. Like nobody up until that point, nobody would have thought that zombies would be that scary. I mean, up until that point, people just thought zombies were meandering. Like,
wait, when did 28 Days Later come out? Wait,
oh, did this come out before 28 Days Later or after?
I don't know. I have the internet in front of me, but I choose not to find out.
I don't know. Same. You're the film nerds. You're the bigger nerds. I don't know.
But
okay, how about? Wait,
okay, I retract my statement about running zombies.
No, but you're absolutely right. He's good when he has material to work off of rather than developing himself.
Sucker Punch, which leads me to my next collective groan.
Okay,
The only thing good about Sucker Punch was the soundtrack.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, the word is my mind cover. My goodness,
that was good. So that was good. When I look at Sucker Punch, I mean, it looks like, clearly it was designed by somebody living out his every boyhood fantasy, his every adolescent sexual fantasy. He's got girls in schoolgirl uniforms. He's got girl ninjas. He's got girls who have to essentially whore themselves out for a living. And they're actually undercover super spy, agent, superhero, whatevers. But the thing the problem with that movie was that it was just absolutely more style over substance, completely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean,
I would say I wouldn't be going out on a limb and saying Zack Snyder is probably one of my favorite visual directors.
Zac Efron is your favorite. Zac Efron is your favorite director?
No, Zac Efron is my wife's favorite. It's my wife's favorite actor.
Zack Snyder. I totally understand. Vanessa Hudgens was in Sucker Punch. I understand.
Yeah. Why are you making excuses for him?
Is why I love MJ and I hate you, Misha.
But I didn't notice that. You're like Zac.
I hate. It's okay. I hate me too.
I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
I lost my train. No, I wouldn't be going out on a limb if I said that Zack Snyder is probably one of my favorite visual directors. Like,
visual
goes without saying. Visually speaking, he's really good. Like half the stuff he thinks of visually, the action sequences, I mean, although they're super violent,
That's what I
they're
like
actually
about
fun
it.
to watch.
I'm sorry.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
other than his storytelling being bad, but his movies have good soundtracks.
Yeah.
You know, the action sequences are amazing. Like, they're so stylistic. Even honestly, I like the colors. Like, especially what he did for his Justice League. For me, it was fine.
You serious?
Good treatment.
You couldn't see half the movie.
Nah,
Okay, fine.
maybe
That's better than Batman versus Superman, where you couldn't see all the movie. But, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that was already an
just-
improvement in Justice League. That Superman suit actually had color in it.
Yeah, you could see the reds at least, for the very least.
You could
not even Wonder Woman had, no, sorry, going back. MJ?
Yeah, I agree because I after 300 was such a huge fan. Watchmen, I was also such a huge fan, so that he already gained so much respect as a director for me. Then came Sucker Punch, which was such a disappointment. And I watched Sucker Punch solely because of the directorial name. It's just like, oh, it's Zack Snyder, I'm watching it. It's like, I didn't care about anything else. Like, okay, it's a plus that I guess it had a good trailer. But it's like, after it, it's like, not your best, but hopefully your next one will be better. And I was let down from then on.
It's really
blah, 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 down here.
What made me sad about Sucker Punch was that it had all the pieces to do a good thing, you know? I mean, it had a good cast. It had a good premise. I mean, for everyone who's not familiar, Sucker Punch was about this girl who joins a dance troupe, essentially.
A burlesque.
Okay. Yes, she joins a burlesque group, and in their imaginations, and they may or may not be insane because she's like in a lunatic asylum, but in her head, she's part of the dance troupe. But the dance troupe, in their heads, they're going out on secret missions and stuff. So a lot of what happens in the action part of the film is fantasy sequences of what they're doing. And the biggest flaw of the film for me, because the reason we couldn't connect to it emotionally was because the action sequences are all pretty, right? They look amazing. But we don't have any connection or context for what's happening in the real world. That's why there's precisely one sequence where all of this works and nowhere else in the rest of the movie. There's a train heist in the middle of the film. And at the same time, they're trying to steal a set of keys from somebody. And that is the only part of the movie where I actually cared what was happening, because you could appreciate what they were doing.
The juxtaposition?
Yes, you could see what was going on. You could understand it. All through the movie, you hear about how Baby Doll is the best dancer in the place, but they never show her dance even once in the real world. You don't see anything.
You were looking forward to that.
they just start. You just see the start of her swaying, and then all of a sudden she's in her head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have 30 minutes of action after that. And then when we come back, wow, that was amazing. I'm like, huh?
30 minutes of action. 30 minutes of action, 10 minutes of which were in slow motion.
So while Misha was discussing his point about Sucker Punch, I actually looked up Zack Snyder's filmography.
Oh, okay.
That makes one of us.
Yay. Anjo cares enough.
Nobody wanted to do it.
Anjo cares enough to do his job.
So interestingly enough, all the movies that he's had source materials come up to base on came before Sucker Punch. So Sucker Punch would have been the start of his downfall.
Yeah, it is.
Let's take
it as a fact. It is.
Okay, so his first movie, starting from his first big movie, which was Dawn of the Dead, which was made in 2004, which he followed up with 2 years later with 300.
Okay.
And then Watchmen in 2009, and a year after that for Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, and then Sucker Punch. So starting 2011, he hasn't made a decent narrative. I'm not going to say movie, but narrative. Because we're talking about his storytelling skills.
Right.
Tragic.
That sucks.
Which is sad because, knowing that, all these superheroes, like Man of Steel, Batman, with Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, you have two of the most iconic superheroes with so many stories to choose from.
Right.
yet you managed to butcher both movies, both characters. And the first time you see these two characters, on the same screen, which was for some of you guys, while I'm talking, Misha's holding up a Batman action figure. Anyway,
they don't need to know that.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. It was just such a waste of
money.
It had so much potential. It really hurt the fandom, I guess. Like, you got the Marvel guys, the casual Marvel guys, and you have the long-time comic book fans who were probably looking forward to this, and yet you see that.
But that's what's ironic, isn't it? Like, something that people have been waiting for 60, 70 years was kind of bad. Versus, when Iron Man and Captain America and Thor met each other for the first time, the mainstream public had only known these characters for 4 years at that point, 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Which is sad. I mean, like, historically speaking, counting the cartoons, DC always had an edge over Marvel. Prior to the movies, prior to the Disney acquisition, DC always had an edge over Marvel.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that if you take a crucifix and a Superman S into the deepest, darkest jungles in the world, there's a 50-50 chance that they'll be recognized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
So how do you screw that up?
Wasted.
How do you screw that up?
That's so sad. Anyway, now that we've established that Zack Snyder DC films were not very good, let's look at the bright side now. That was pretty much a downer. So let's talk about the good DC films. Things that we can actually wash our palates with after.
I know why you want to talk about good DC movies. I know why you brought that up.
Let me get to my point. Just kidding. But yeah, let's talk about it.
Let her get to her point.
Save it for
later.
I
want to hear this.
Let's save it for later. First, let's get to Wonder Woman, which we really, really liked, but had
except for the ending,
disappointing Sailor Moon ending.
she won with the power of love.
I will save you with the power of love.
It was so good up until that point. I swear I cried. I literally cried.
When she walked onto the battlefield the first time.
No, I cried when the Amazons came out to fight the Germans.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
When they found the island and all of the Amazons were just charging in their horses, and I was like, oh my god, I've never seen this before. All powerful women. I was so happy. I was so happy at No Man's Land. I also cried then.
That was awesome.
And Gal Gadot was a very, very charming Wonder Woman. People had their doubts at first because we want her to be curvy, blah, 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 whatever. But she was amazing. She was so charming. I could not forget those moments when they were trying to pass her off as a normal woman in London. Was that London?
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was. So she was trying on all these dresses, and it was palatable because you could see that in almost every chick flick, the makeover part. Mm-hmm. And it was still palatable for the men, but it was made by a woman, and it was meant to empower the women and everything. So it was wonderful.
What I enjoyed about it is parang you have such an unconventional woman, somebody who is not your stereotypical woman in movies, right? Because she's a superhero. Parang breaking standards for everything. Parang, I'm gonna walk around London carrying a sword and a shield. That was funny. I'm gonna do things my way.
That was
so cute. And then when she
added a lot
she saw
to
the baby
charm.
for the first
so
time,
awkward
she was
she came from somewhere else.
That's
right.
That was my favorite moment. Well, besides all the teary-eyed parts, she was like, baby. Anyway, she was so charming.
I loved it. I really did.
It was so good up until that ending.
But then she had to fight Remus Lupin at the end. So come on. I was like, what is happening?
Wasn't he the case in point, Captain Marvel director's take note.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, really.
Yeah, I mean,
really not a fan of Captain Marvel.
No, you really need a good bad guy for these movies. Seriously. I mean, think how many people love Loki or love Thanos, for instance, right? You cannot end your movie with Wonder Woman fighting Remus Lupin.
Where was the Avada Kedavra in this? Just kidding. But
Seriously,
But
but she
Patty
beat him.
Jenkins did a really good job. I'm very hopeful for 1984. I'm still trying to marry the idea of Kristen Wiig as a
Cheetah.
villain.
Cheetah.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
I still can't imagine, but hopefully they do a good job. So
Kristen Wiig is actually a pretty good actress.
She is.
You've just never seen her as a villain. You've seen her in heavy drama.
Yeah.
You've seen her in comedy and everything. But this is gonna be new.
I hope she talks like
It's
Gilly.
actually interesting. Like who?
I hope she talks like
Gilly.
Gilly.
Sorry.
One of her characters from SNL.
After she punches Wonder Woman, she's gonna be like, sorry.
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 Man, when are we gonna see?
That's so.
I really hope we get to see that movie this year. Honestly,
I wonder if she's gonna be like Penelope, the one-upper. Oh, I did that better.
So we've established, yes, Wonder Woman is one of the better DC movies. What else do you have in mind for people?
Okay,
if you defend Suicide Squad, I'm walking out right now.
Oh,
fuck Suicide Squad.
Speaking of, there are fans who are calling for David Ayer to make his own cut.
Oh God,
yes.
Suicide Squad,
which will bring me to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
I'm getting too excited or too passionate about this.
But yes, I think people wanted to see. Well, of course, a little background. People hated Jared Leto's Joker. Everybody fell in love with Harley Quinn and the rest of the gang. But apparently, David Ayer had a better plan for Joker in his own cut or in his own head, which
so
apparently he didn't have enough screen time to flesh out because it was already getting pretty long. So what do you think of this future, if ever this pushes through?
I don't know.
Isn't that what every director says? Like, oh, I could have made a better movie, but the studio wouldn't let me.
Yeah, but then that's the thing. He would never have known because studio interrupts, Like the difference between Warner Brothers and Marvel Studios. Is it Marvel Studios, yeah. Is that when Marvel Studios, they put complete trust in Kevin Feige. Right?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, I'm guessing all these directors have to answer to various studio heads who in one way probably, each of them will probably get what they want in their own way, which is what I believe happened to Suicide Squad because how they reshot so much of it, right?
Right, they did.
I think so.
To the point that David Ayer, I think, wanted to take his name off it or something because he wasn't the one who finished it, right?
So I could actually believe David Ayer in saying that I could have made a better version of this because, if you reshoot everything, that's already hard. That's already hard on the budget, hard on the schedule. And of course, you already have a story in mind that you've labored over and then studio's going to tell this isn't going to work. Rewrite something.
Right.
That's hard. And prior to this, David Ayer made a real-time movie which was really good. The one with Brad Pitt with Shia LaBeouf.
Fury. That was excellent.
Fury.
That was great.
So that was a really good movie. So
it was really good.
I don't know.
It was really stressful, but it was really good. And I think that's the movie.
It was really good because it was really stressful.
I think that was the movie that convinced Warner Brothers that he could handle an ensemble piece in the first place.
Here they are again with the ensemble pieces where you barely know anything about most of them.
That's true.
Ng DC, it's like, let's put them all together even if people barely know them. So you don't have any emotional attachment to them yet.
But ironically,
I guess it's no secret.
No, I was just thinking that it is possible to introduce an ensemble from scratch and make you care about them because nobody gave a crap in or out of a comic book store about the Guardians of the Galaxy before that movie came out.
Oh, that's true.
Good point.
Right?
No, but the thing is, at that point, it's no secret that DC's been trying to catch up with Marvel.
Right.
So they needed to come up with a franchise exactly. So, at that point, they were obviously trying to catch up with that. Like, who would be better? Who would be good enough to match the success of Guardians? Oh, Suicide Squad. Villains turned into anti-heroes.
And pop music for the trailer.
Which in essence could have worked because you had Harley Quinn in it, You that was one strength that Suicide Squad had over Guardians. Was that Guardians, nobody knew who everyone in it was.
Tama.
At least here, you have Harley Quinn.
And you have Joker. You even have Batman making a cameo. Batfleck was in this movie for like 30 seconds. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's no secret naman na also that the DCEU has been plagued with so many problems stemming from studio decisions.
That's because they didn't have... You're right. They did not have any one central figure running the show. The closest they had was Zack Snyder.
Yep.
And yeah, that didn't work out so good.
I am still a firm believer that the DCEU would have been more successful had they hired somebody to take care take care of the
You can do
take care of the world building, or at least give sense or to guide the directors on what to do.
You know who I would have picked if I was a studio head, if I had half a brain? If I had half a brain as a studio head, I would have picked Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, the guys who created the entire DC animated universe, starting from Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited. Right? They ran that entire universe for like 11 years and it all fit together. And by the time you got to the Justice League Unlimited show, they had a cast of like 60 Justice League members and they were all had personalities, Even if they only showed up for one episode, you cared. They found a way to make you care. No matter how stupid their powers, no matter how colorful their costumes, those cartoons were brilliant. And they did everything that Zack Snyder said audiences would not accept and everything that the Marvel Universe took to the bank, basically.
Yep. Oh, well.
Maybe next time.
And with that, I guess to end this, would you watch the Snyder Cut? Well, at the end of the day, we all know we're all still going to watch the Snyder Cut anyway. Who are we kidding? We've been talking shit about Zack Snyder for the last 40 minutes, and we're still going to watch it.
I want to hear this.
What?
We're missing at least one more movie in the DCEU that I know you want to discuss.
Aquaman.
No!
Aquaman.
Okay, it's out of my system. I'm good. Watch
Shazam was really good.
Shazam was good.
Shazam was really good.
It's totally different from the tone of everything else. It is not dark at all, and it has a very, very, very wonderful lead in Zachary Levi. And I rest in peace.
No.
Though the love of my life has saved the DCEU.
Besides MJ's love for Zachary Levi, I feel like this is one of the DC movies whose central theme was translated really well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Which was family.
Yeah.
This movie was all about family.
Yeah.
Was it a Fast and the Furious movie? Wait. What are we talking about here?
Shazam's strength has always been about the Shazam family strength.
That's true. And how I agree.
How he manages to share all his power with his, foster siblings and how selfless he's supposed to be.
That's true. And I really love that they took the core idea of wish fulfillment. Like, basically the premise is you have this 11-year-old kid who can become a grown superhero just by shouting a magic word. And that's wish fulfillment right there from anyone who ever picked up a comic book, because who wouldn't want to have superpowers and save the world and, be strong and good looking and whatnot. And they very good looking. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Which is also good because it's one of the few superhero movies who had an interesting enough villain in Dr. Sivana, because he was the total contrast, complete foil of what Shazam was. He wanted the superpowers.
You mean Mark Strong as himself?
Fine. Mark Strong as himself.
I'm sorry. He just plays the same bad guy in every movie. That's why I loved him in Kingsman. He was actually a good guy.
Mark Strong.
Kind of reminds me of like a cool Tito.
Oh man, wait, he was in Green Lantern. He was in that Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Can we forget about Green Lantern?
Yeah, Deadpool killed him.
We're going to talk about any.
Even Ryan Reynolds wants to forget about that Green Lantern. I swear, he still makes jokes about it. Thank God he's Deadpool now.
I know, right?
Green Lantern is one of my favorite superheroes, and they butcher that
What?
It butchered that so bad.
You didn't like his CGI costume?
Conceptually speaking, it was supposed to be good. It just wasn't delivered properly.
He still looked naked. I don't care what you say. He looked naked.
The suit's made out of light. How are you supposed to translate that on film? Which is, it was a good concept.
I have no complaints whatsoever. No complaints.
I see where your priorities lie.
Muscle strands.
Wait, speaking of muscle strands, can you please justify Zachary Levi's muscle suit?
Shut up! We will not talk about this. You will not talk about this under my house. No!
But it
Nothing bad about Zachary Levi shall be said in this podcast. I veto this conversation. Okay, fine. Yeah. He did fine.
Look, I accept that you need some level of padding because spandex does not look good on anybody. Okay? We saw what nearly nude Idris Elba looked like in Cats, and he was horrifying.
Oh, that was not pretty. Why did you spoil it for Angela?
I don't know. Sorry. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
You have to
MJ.
watch Cats. It's wonderful.
No,
fine. We'll get to that. MJ, I'm sorry, but I have to agree with Bisha because Captain America's padded suit makes sense because he's a soldier and he's susceptible to gunfire.
Yeah, but it looks like they padded Shazam's suit with helium.
Zachary Levi, to be quite honest, he really did buff up for it, but it apparently wasn't enough. It was overkill. Honestly, I agree. Fine, I agree.
Okay,
but I don't know. Maybe it was the flat red design of the suit. I mean, maybe they could have. I feel like it's a costume design issue. If you wanted him to look that big, at least don't make it look so one-dimensionally red. It was so flat red that sobrang halata nung padding. And I think a little bit of, I don't know, shading or something could have helped.
Okay, let's move on. Probably the last DC movie we could discuss.
Okay.
Moving from one padded suit hunk to the actual hunk of the DC.
Apocalypse War.
Aquaman.
Oh, God.
Oh. Well,
you guys forgot about Aquaman.
I couldn't get past 40 minutes. I couldn't. I fell asleep.
I don't know.
I just wanted to say that the water was lukewarm with Aquaman. I'm sorry. The movie, Jason Momoa, anything he does is very, very attractive. He's again, my priorities for these films.
Hey, argument. He's a good-looking guy, but and he was clearly having a good time. We can all see that he was having a great time.
That was so cute. Yeah,
but clearly William Dafoe was just cashing a paycheck. It was, and I don't even know. Are they going
to kick Amber Heard out?
That's what I heard. Oh, I mean, that's what I read.
Not yet. It's nothing official yet, but the rumors are all there.
Yeah,
and everybody's trying to get her out of the movie.
Sounds like. But I think she's got a contract, so they needed like a good reason, like a conviction.
Domestic abuse is not enough, apparently.
I know. She almost took off one of Johnny Depp's fingers. Did I read that right?
My God. Yep. And there were rumors that she shat on the bed or something.
She literally shit the bed.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's nasty.
And they'd have arguments and she'd be like, yeah, tell the world who's going to believe you that you're an abused husband. How do you think that's going to sound? And she would taunt him.
Oh, that's
now sad. I remember Barney Stinson's hot, crazy scale.
They're inversely proportionate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I don't know. But I feel like Aquaman was one of the better DC movies.
Yeah, it was one of the better ones.
It was, then you got Pitbull singing Africa.
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like James Wan, the director, who turned out really good, low budget. This was his first big budget project,
You mean something that didn't have Annabelle in it.
Yep. But prior to his work, he's been doing, good story. Good movies, turning out good horror movies. And I think the decision of Warner Brothers to go with him to direct a movie about an unknown world was good because I feel like visually what he did for Atlantis and that whole world underwater that nobody had no idea about was pretty good, visually speaking.
I think
I think it was just, a total lack of identity as to what it should have been. But he didn't know whether to make it like pop movie or an epic, I guess, because, Aquaman's a king, supposed to be a king. So there's that. And it reflected in the soundtrack. The characterization of Aquaman was pretty good. Somebody who didn't want to accept the responsibility, the big responsibility
I like that,
of
really. I did.
Like Simba.
Simba.
Sorry. We're back to Simba again.
And Nala's doomy face.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
No, but even Black Manta's characterization, albeit brief, was not that bad. Like his heart, how much anger he has for Aquaman
His
was
whole
completely
motivation
justified.
for hating
And each
Aquaman was
of the
kind of
actions
weak.
that they did had repercussions in the movie.
I
like
think,
Aquaman not saving.
okay.
Sorry, go.
No, it's cool. I mean, I really thought that was weak. The whole thing about not saving his dad. Is that what you're gonna say? I mean, they were criminals. Why the hell should he help them? They were trying to kill him. They were trying to kill him 10 seconds before. Come on. Why would he feel inclined to help them out?
Well, I don't know. Because he's a superhero.
I hate it when you make sense.
Oh well.
No, but
if nothing else, Jason Momoa and the Aquaman movie have done wonders for Aquaman's reputation. He's no longer the joke about that guy who can talk to fish.
That's Marites versus the Super Friends.
Yeah, we should share that.
Aquaman,
I'm sorry, Aquaman. I only cookie fish.
Good Lord.
And with that reference, I think we are done. It's so last words, I guess. Any recommendations for maybe, I don't know if the DCEU people will get to hear this, but any recommendations to them?
Any recommendations for Zack Snyder movies? Anything before Sucker Punch?
But what can DC do from here on, given its not very good movie universe reputation?
Well, I think they covered their butts already with the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths on their TV shows. So now they can just make an excuse that everything happened in another universe, or they can just pick and choose elements of different universes to combine to make a better one. They don't need to start from scratch. They can say that everything happened before it happened, but maybe it was an alternate Earth, that kind of thing, So I'm genuinely looking forward to how they move forward. I want to see how they move forward, because they saw, the box office reflected it, that audiences respond to likable heroes, to heroes that they can look up to, whether it's Wonder Woman or Shazam, or fine, I'll give you Aquaman, Anjo, but
Batman.
They haven't yet shown us a Batman we can look up to in the DCEU, and that's what I want to see. I don't know if Pattinson can pull it off, but maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I guess we'll see with this Snyder Cut.
I would just like to point out that I was really sad that Ben Affleck dropped off of the Batman solo movie project.
Well, I guess, if people have been mocking you
he's
mercilessly.
He's a good filmmaker.
He is.
Ben Affleck is actually a really good storyteller. And he was writing and directing that movie.
Oh, well.
I guess we'll never know. But I genuinely hope that whatever comes out next year...
What if I was really looking forward to talaga.
Honestly, I really hope that whatever comes out next year from Zack Snyder will be something at the very least is watchable, because there's no guarantees it'll be good. I just hope that good or bad, it finally puts to rest this idea that he was denied his vision, because now he's got no excuse.
Yep. Step it up, Zack Snyder.
Damn right.
Step it up.
So, okay. Just to wrap this up, any recommendations for Zack Snyder? Anything before Sucker Punch?
Anything before Sucker Punch. Watch it. Enjoy it.
Anything before Sucker Punch. Watch it and enjoy it. As for DC movies that I really like, the aforementioned Shazam.
Did you say Afro-Man?
Aquaman. No. Afro-Man. Oops. No. Never mind. Shazam.
You and your
Aquaman,
off-color remarks.
Wonder Woman.
We're talking about Wonder Woman. We're talking about DC, right? The Dark Knight trilogy.
No, I think we were good with the
Snyder.
Snyder.
Old Superman movies.
All right. This has been an episode of Sub-Auteurs. Let us know what your favorite Zack Snyder movie is, and we'll catch you next episode. This has been Misha, recording from Pasig.
I'm Anja from Quezon City.
And I'm MJ from the Dirty South, Parañaque.
Thank you.
Sub-Auteurs is a movie review podcast by a DJ, a writer, and a filmmaker. Sub-Auteurs is produced, recorded, and distributed by Big Baby Studios.